You can well, Boom, you do the intro, and I will do the relaxing.
I don't have much of an intro. It's just
Okay.
it's a book about Leia in her later years in the Senate. I have some questions about Leia. Um but I thought it was a solid read. I think like I said, Claudia is a good writer. If this is supposed to be a YA book though, I don't think a 13-year-old is gonna understand this. I think a 13-year-old is gonna have problems with this. But
Fair.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't like write an introduction or anything. I just, just go.
Okay, no problem. Then
YA means young adult, right?
yeah.
Yes.
Is that for 13-year-olds, young adult stories?
It says, let me see, where does it say?
Because if I was thinking young adult, I would be thinking that's for around my age. Maybe
Thinking young
maybe
adult
younger,
is
maybe older.
like, I don't
Yeah.
know, 28,
Yeah.
25 to
So 18
28.
is not young adult?
I mean, yeah, I gotta say 18. Maybe 16 to 18.
No,
I will.
is usually teenager.
Yeah.
So saying in literary business, it's usually marketing to children down as young as 12.
That's
For
terrifying with
young
all the.
adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh.
see.
Well, I mean, Robbie can read this book and understand it. You know.
I don't know.
Yes,
Some
there's
of the young adult books that I read is pretty
yes.
hot and spicy.
Yeah.
Have you seen books that are currently on the do not touch list? People
You know what? Harry Potter is on that list. I have
Yeah.
zero respect for that list.
Done with that list.
Yeah.
Done with that list.
Well, now we're already getting worked up, so let's go ahead and then bring ourselves back down. This is probably a good time to go ahead and center ourselves before we continue with the conversation. All right. So I'm sure everyone has had a pretty busy day, but this is exciting to be able to talk about this book. But before we do that, let's go ahead and just take a few breaths to center yourself. And in through your nose, and out through the mouth. In through your nose. Now through your mouth. And for those who are sitting, please place your feet firmly on the floor with the soles touching the ground and your hands onto your knees. If you are able to, if you are not able to, then as close to that as possible. Like it can be either your legs crisscrossed.
Crisscross.
If you're sitting, yeah, if you're already sitting on something
My hands
that doesn't allow your feet to go there, yeah.
Right.
Again, continue breathing in from your nose. Now from your mouth. And I want you to picture yourself just there sitting. And from your solar plexus, that is just where basically your rib cage meets. I want you to envision a golden sphere. And it's just growing brighter within. Allow that sphere to grow larger and larger. Each breath in, just increasing its size until that sphere encompasses your entire body. Feel its warmth. Feel its love. Feel its safety. sit in that warm glow, allowing it to burn away any tension, any negativity, any stress that you are holding on to your body. Each breath in allows you to target that negativity. And each breath out allows it all to escape. A few more deep breaths. And now allow that golden sphere to get smaller and smaller and smaller until it is back in your solar plexus. Feel yourself in your body once again. Only this time it's more relaxed. As I count from 3 to 1, back to the here and now. 3, 2, 1. You can open your eyes.
Thank you, Gabe, very much.
Thank you.
That was nice.
Hey,
Appreciate it.
hello.
No
I
problem.
want to go back to sleep.
I'm just gonna start off by the there's this little paragraph at the beginning that like says kind of like what the premise of the book is. So I'm just gonna read that and then we can go from there. An entire generation has prospered during an era of peace. The New Republic, governed by the Galactic Senate, has held power for more than 2 decades. The wars that divided the galaxy are fading into legend. Yet conflict has begun to take shape within the Senate. In the absence of Mon Mothma, I don't know where Mon Mothma went, former leader of the rebellion and first chancellor of the New Republic, 2 official but powerful factions have formed: the populists, who believe individual planets should retain almost all authority, and the centrists, who favor a stronger galactic government and more powerful military. It's familiar. Only the greatest heroes of the war are still honored by all. And then it says, ceremony honoring the memory of Bail Organa has drawn the Senate together in rare harmony. It is a day of celebration, but even now the divisions among the worlds of the galaxy are growing wider. So that's how it starts.
If anybody didn't see it, it was scrolling against a wall of black and dotted stars.
Exactly. Exactly what it is.
All in yellow
I
letters.
should have played the music in the background. Why did I play the music in the background? I have a
The
cold.
book, like, when they
piano
were-
if you want me
when
to play
Audible
it.
did that. It was great because like I could
Yes.
visualize it happening.
True. Well, we gotta start every Star Wars thing with that. So who has a quote they want to share and we can discuss it?
I didn't really have a quote. I had a scene.
Yeah.
Start with a scene.
Okay, so for anyone who was who read Princess Leia, Princess of
Mhm.
Alderaan,
Mhm.
there was a point where who was the other main male character? Rancine?
Oh, in this book?
Yeah, in this book.
Ransom.
Yeah, Ransom.
Ransom Castaforo or something. I can't.
Yeah, okay. So
Casterfo.
Casterfo, is that it? Okay.
Casterfo,
Thank you.
yes, Casterfo. So Casterfo, we're just gonna go with Casterfo. Casterfo is talking, like you see earlier on in the book where he's talking about how he just adores all of his museum
Yeah.
stuff. And yeah, the guy who praises the
Mhm.
empire, and not really praises the empire. He admires aspects of the Empire. I disliked him.
Yeah.
Oh, you're okay. That's right. You're only so spoilers.
He had a
Spoilers.
bad ending.
Yeah, you haven't gotten there yet, but
Like the last 3 pages, he came to a bad ending.
yeah, he did. It's awful. But so Casterfo is talking about all of this stuff and how he has some admiration for things that the Empire was wanted, but executed poorly. And so you sit there and you hear all of this, and I just couldn't. And Leia goes, "You would have joined the Empire." Well, later on, she gets in this situation, this dicey situation where she's meeting up with a guy. She's got plans. She's gonna get this guy taken in. I don't remember who it was. It was a guy that called her Hut Slayer.
Oh, Rin.
Yeah, that one. Rin Ribbon.
He had the hollow or whatever of her.
Yeah, the hollow. So if you haven't listened to the audiobook, she does a really good version of how he says Hut Slayer.
Oh yeah?
Really well done. So anyways, so she gets in there's dicey situation. She's trying to get some authorities in there to take him in, and Casterfo shows up and is like, "I'm gonna save you." And I couldn't help but sit there and think back to the book Princess Leia of Alderaan and how she tried to help the planet. And there's like this great parallel where there's this kid, and then you're also, and like the first thing that came to mind when I saw this, where he swings in and he's like trying to save her, and she's like, "What the hell? No, you weren't oh no, you're messing this all up." And I just thought, oh, he wants an adventure.
Yeah.
He's looking for an adventure. That's why he admires the war, because he missed it. And now he's trying to find a way to live that adventure. And he's doing it in the most awful way.
She's disgusted. Here she says is on page 33. He says, "Please do come in and sit down. Can I offer you tea, water, anything?" Leia waved off the refreshments as she followed Casterfo into his personal office and then stopped in place as though frozen. On the walls of Casterfo's office hung artifacts from the Empire: a stormtrooper's helmet, the black control box of a TIE pilot's atmospheric suit, flags and banners of the Empire, the individual stormtrooper legions, and one faded but slightly torn, but still searing to Leia's eyes, dedicated to Palpatine himself. Well, that's what you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Talk about it. Because that pissed me off immediately. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, so Susan, I think you know where I'm about to go with this.
Go.
As a Jewish person in the midst of this current war,
I know.
having to talk to neo-Nazis sometimes, that hit a bit close to home.
Yeah, it's like walking into your friend's house, your colleague's house, and they have all Nazi memorabilia. I mean, that's where we go naturally.
Yeah. I bet. Like, yeah.
I remember when I was on a trip in Israel, we went to the Holocaust Museum, and that was just horrified and scared. That Leia probably felt the same thing.
Yep. Makes me remember when I was back in Hebrew school and they blew up these big banner posters of the camps and the Holocaust, and they had us walk through and look at that and discuss it and what it meant. We were little. We were like 8 or 9.
And it's upsetting how 8-year-olds need to do that. How 8-year-olds need to learn about that.
We need to know that stuff. Yeah.
Because you need to know how to keep yourself safe.
And we're feeling particularly unsafe right now. I feel particularly unsafe.
That's what you got.
I'm lucky enough to have a good Jewish community and live in a safe area.
I do too. Chicago's pretty safe. Gabe, what do you think?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
I'm in
pretty
Los
diverse.
Angeles.
And then she goes,
So even though certain things have happened recently, I'm still in a good area of the city.
what city?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, you know
Okay.
where the pogrom just was.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody have a quote they want to share, or a scene or something?
I had a scene, the one that like really stuck with me
Tell me.
was just when Casterfo gave her the hollow, or no, it wasn't Casterfo, it was the
Rin,
Rin
Riven gave her the hollow of her and Jabba, and how he calls her like Hut Slayer, and just realizing that she is being faced with her past. Obviously, like she's probably had to deal with it, but then it's another thing to actually see it from
Right.
an outsider's perspective and see what actually happened. And obviously, when she's in it, she was already thinking like, here I am a slave, here I am in this situation. I've got to do what I can do to survive. And now that time has passed, just to see it from like, I guess, a third perspective at the same time as reliving it again.
Yeah.
Because now she's older and she's gone through things. It's so she may have she was probably thinking, would I have done the same thing? Would I have done it differently? Or just saying like, no, this happened. This is part of who I am. I did kill, and it was because of these things. But still, it probably brought up a whole lot of emotions from before again, to just be a slave again.
Right.
And like these things that you probably don't ever really completely deal with.
I think her part of her strength in that, when she killed Jabba the Hutt, part of her strength in that was that she knew that Han and Luke and Lando were outside fighting for their lives against Boba Fett, and she's inside. What can she do? You know, so she did the only thing that she thought was possible. Plus, she was really young.
Exactly. And it's just a reminder to us that how now that some of us are older, we can look back on some of the things that we've done and said either like, yeah, there were stupid mistakes, or no, I would still continue to do the same things again. Because it's who I am, it's where I am now. So
she absolutely would have done the same thing again.
Yeah. Yeah.
She saw an opportunity and she grabbed it. You know, so
but that's one of those, that's a life-changing moment.
Yeah, what I love about that situation, it's funny that we're all kind of going back to that earlier in the book.
Movie.
Yeah.
I know.
But what I loved about that was just how much she does not let that play into how she addresses Rin Rivet.
Right.
And she's just like, yeah, sure, you have a lot of admiration for me, but I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Like, my morals and my values are stronger. And that, I loved that conviction that was in her.
Yeah. But she has her doubts though in this book. I mean, she questions herself a lot.
She does.
And especially after it's the big reveal on page, like, 312 or something, I think as far as writing goes, I think they left things to the end that should have been addressed sooner, like Greer's illness.
Yeah.
Like she says everybody's asking her why she isn't competing anymore and why she isn't racing anymore, and it turns out she has this illness. And I thought she was like a drug addict or something at first, because she's trying to get this medicine, and then later on, like the 50 years on,
what you call it, in a bottle.
Yeah.
Bottle. Yeah, that's it.
And I think we should have known that about her a little bit earlier. It would have given more depth to her character going forward, and watch her handle situations while still struggling with this illness and trying to get the medication for it.
So I think that there is that, but I think there was kind of a strength in putting it somewhere in the middle, which shows just how much she was trying to keep that under wraps, which mirrors what happened with Leia, of how she was trying to keep information. It was almost like a, what is the word? A foreshadowing of what would happen with Leia.
Yeah.
Because by this point it hadn't been out, right?
No. No.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. No, it was because she decided to stick with Leia. She and Joff decided to stick with Leia. And she went on the Mirror Bright and they were just there. And they're like, you know, we're with you. We don't believe any of this stuff. It's all nonsense. You can't blame the daughter for the actions of the father. And I mean, there's the one. Let me find.
Okay,
that.
well, maybe it wasn't a foreshadowing, but it did mirror.
It mirrored it, yeah.
By keeping that secret and only sharing it with a very select few, because, and that kind of shows how she was able to take in that Leia was that daughter. Sophia,
Yeah.
I know you read this book, Sophia. Sophia, hello. Sophia.
Yeah, I read the book.
Okay, so did you have a scene?
Yeah, I actually, it's not a scene, but I just always imagined it as a scene. And
Okay.
it's how, like, I don't know, to me, the most painful part of the book was something that wasn't even shown in the book. Because I looked at it from the point of, Ben Solo.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Okay.
then he would have been with Luke at the time, training. And then to learn that, the truth of who his grandfather was at such a young age,
Mhm.
And I don't know, that obviously, I guess, had a huge effect on him. So just to imagine what, knowing what he became from the movies,
Mhm.
but to imagine what that did to him as a child.
How
And
old was he?
were-
How old was he? Can somebody tell me how old he was at this time?
he would have been just a teenager.
Teenager?
I would probably said, I don't know, at
Ugh.
13, 14,
Having
15.
imagine finding out like as a teenager that your grandfather is was one of the most evil people in the galaxy. I mean that can, and there was no conversation between them. She never actually got a hold of him
Right.
because he's like off doing
Yeah.
something with Luke.
Yeah, and so she never told him, and his dad never told him. So just to find out,
And Luke never told him.
right? Luke
And
never
Luke never told him. Well,
So-
Luke, she's upset about Luke coming out on Anakin's side. She's confused by that.
Too.
Makes sense to her. Well, he was a good guy, and then he became a bad guy, and then at the very end, like he gave himself to me, and he became a good guy again. She's like, come on. I'm not sure she believes her brother in that moment.
Yeah, it
But-
must have taken a lot, but like yeah, yeah. And I love that parallel too, where she comes to this realization of what it could have been that caused him to go to the dark side.
Yes. He obviously had like teenage doubts about his parents and all that kind of nonsense, combined with the politics and the war and all that stuff.
Yeah.
People outside making noise. Sorry. So I have lots of quotes.
Yeah, it looks like you've got a lot of them.
I do. I read. This is how I read for a book study. If I'm just reading a book, I just read it. But if I'm reading for a book study, I have to and I also have 6 pages of notes. So, I have some questions. Maybe you guys can help me with. Gabe and I talked about this. Gabe, we talked about who does Leia represent in the Senate? Because her planet's gone. So she's a representative of who exactly?
They had talked about, I think they kind of alluded to it too. Because after you asked that, I was like trying to go through again. And they did say, but I forgot to mark it down.
Was it Beerus?
Biren?
Biren?
Yeah. Or
Well, it was
Ryle?
Lady Cerise or whatever her name is.
No. Lady Carice was offered an opportunity to be a mayor there of some sort. But I don't think
Leia was like, go do it. I don't, I'm already a princess. I don't need to be a princess of another planet. She's like, just go do that. And then she found her box. She found Leia's box.
But whatever planet that is, I feel like maybe that's where she was represented.
I don't know, because she never took on that role.
Yeah, but that was just like a mayoral, a mayor role. So it's
Yeah.
it's like, here's your mayor, but I'm in charge of the state.
Right. Right. So
So I don't know. That's a good question.
she doesn't represent any. I mean, everybody, senators represent planets like our senators represent states, but Alderaan is gone. So who is she? Who exactly is she?
Please?
Senator? Who votes for her?
Refugees?
Refugees? Maybe.
I don't know. I got nothing. That's a good question.
They didn't say that.
Oh, okay, I am reading on a Reddit
I
that
recall.
apparently
ahead.
it's the sector.
The
So she
sector?
represents the sector. So it
Okay,
doesn't
thank you,
necessarily have
Red.
to be the planet, but it would be wherever Alderaan was located in.
Okay, so thank you, Reddit, for that.
Yes.
Reddit always has the answers.
Yes.
Someone on Reddit, whatever you have a question of, someone on Reddit will have an answer for it.
Yeah.
You know, I love Reddit. It's so crazy. And I also said, what happened to Mon Mothma?
It doesn't really say. It just says she's gone.
But was there a book or a part of a movie that I missed where she said I'm taking off, or because I don't understand where she went.
I don't know.
She was very visible in the Leia book.
Yeah, but that was pre the movies.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me find another screen. Okay, let's see.
Thought she got sick, but I don't know if I can't remember if I'm mixing canon and legends now.
Oh, okay.
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
But I do
So-
remember she was really sick. But again, that could be legends. But I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see. Here's she and Casterfo was where is this? Let me see. Oh, she's thinking about when Vader tortured her, and he's like, they go through a little battle of like, well, he tortured me more. He ruined my entire planet, but he tortured me physically, and they just go back and forth about that for a while. And she says, I hated him so much, she whispered. The breeze blew past him, rustling the blue blossom trees with the hanging gardens. It was as if they were helping to hide her painful words. Sometimes I felt as if the only thing that kept me going in the aftermath of Alderaan was the strength of my hatred for Vader, for my father. As always, when Leia thought about this, she called upon what Luke had told her of their father's last hours. He had renounced darkness, saved Luke, and become Anakin Skywalker again. Whenever Luke told the story, a beatific smile lit up his face. His memories of that event gave him a level of comfort and even joy that sustained him. Those were memories Leia couldn't share. So it's like, does she believe him? She doubts him, kinda. Yes, no.
I mean, it's hard to believe that when you didn't witness it yourself.
Yeah. And she's just poor Leia.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's that thing.
You know, there was something else in here that was really interesting to me, and I kind of wanted to bring it up as a question.
Please do. Please do.
Isn't it, do you guys feel like it's easy to take criticism of yourself, but it's really difficult to hear criticism about somebody that you care about?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I feel that when she did
What?
she got very upset in the book when they started calling out and they're like, oh, well, yeah, so that also brings up another point. What about Luke? Is he really the person? And she's
Yeah, I have that.
like,
Wait, I have that.
It's one thing to call me out, but to call out my brother.
Right.
And I sat there and I thought about it. I was like, you know, it seems like I know I feel that way. It's easy for me to take criticism and hear people yell and scream about me, but ooh, you say something about somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I get a righteous anger over it.
Well, here's where Ransom is having his party because he got his new toy. And they say, you know, the conversation that they don't really say who says what, but this struck me. You didn't hear so much complaining in those days. Worlds knew they were responsible for their own messes. Didn't come quite whining to the emperor about every little cyclone or drought. Another quote. The academies in populous worlds, they become jokes, poor imitations of what the academies were even like a generation ago, where the best and the brightest trained to serve their leader. Now on centrist worlds, we're rebuilding the old programs of study, reestablishing standards, about time too. If the will of the galaxy were so truly anti-empire, there's no way much of the Imperial fleet could have escaped. No way that it's fake news. This is fake news. Just to this day, we've never adequately explained what happened to the first Death Star. Yes, we all know the big story: Luke Skywalker, single starfighter, blah blah blah. But honestly, does that sound credible to you? The Empire had the greatest engineers in the galaxy, and the Death Star was their finest achievement. There's no way it could have been vulnerable to that kind of attack. The Emperor had to have been trained by someone on the inside.
Twin Towers.
Yeah, anybody? Twin Towers, anybody? And you know, this book came out in 2016, so she's aware of Claudia's aware of the politics of what's happening here too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pages like that. And Casterfo, you know, supposed to be her new friend, and they got to be friends, and then he finds out that she's Darth Vader's daughter, and he's like, how can you betrayed me, and I'm not sure I like you anymore, and you know, but he's so young
that it's also because of his history with Darth Vader. Darth Vader was the one who killed his parents.
Yeah.
And so anybody associated like by that is like got to be evil then.
Guilt by association.
Right.
But
well,
that's not
that, but by blood. Because there's a prevailing belief, and incidentally, there's a Jewish thing in here that I found and I don't know if she's aware of it being in, at least in the Bible, but like the idea that the sins of the father on you, and you are equally as bad. But if you, so in the Bible, if you read it in the Old Testament, which I'm assuming is also Jewish, it talks about how God is like, no longer am I going to visit the curse, evil, I don't know the word.
The father did,
your father did this, I'm not going to punish you. Visit punishment upon upon the children for what the parent did, because it's not you. You can absolutely be completely different than your parent. You just got to break the cycle yourself.
Right, but she went through most of her life not knowing who her real father was.
Yeah.
Until Luke told her.
Yeah. But that's the thing that he sees. It's not just that, but it's also in your blood that you are dark, because darkness follows dark. And then he's sitting there looking at everything, but in the back of his mind, and that's another great thing about it, is how they reconcile at the very end that it shouldn't have mattered in the first place, and that's how a good friendship works. And you can see that they actually did have a good friendship, and then you see it restored back. And that's just a lesson right there. Sometimes you got to process through, and people are going to say hurtful things. They're going to do hurtful things to you. But if you care about each other, you'll work through it so that you can finally get to a point where you can forgive each other.
Yeah. And they did forgive each other. And then he got arrested, and he's going to be, he's the one who reinstated the death penalty on his own planet, and now he's fucked.
Now I understand why it's not a great idea.
It's not a great idea. Why did I do that? I was so stupid. You know. but he's also a lot. He's a lot younger than. We got to remember that he's a lot younger than she is. She's like somewhere around like 50, 45, 50, something like that, and he's like in his 20s. He's really young, and
Yeah.
he's like it's like.
Well, actually,
Guys, it's like people who collect anything, you know, people who think, oh, this is so cool, you know.
how
And
old was she at the end of the movies?
I don't know.
I think she was in her early 20s. Maybe not even, which
When
would make her in her 30s at this point, because this was 10 years roughly after the war. Because I remember that being part of it. We've been in politics for 10 years and they're still not getting anywhere.
Right.
So she's actually in her 30s. She's still old, and so she's witnessing herself at that age.
Mhm.
in certain ways. I mean, he's older than what she was when she was going through her trials in the first book, but
Mhm.
it's still a lot of the same rookie mistakes because he's just now getting to that point where now he's taking up those same things,
Mhm.
taking up those
Mhm.
responsibilities.
He's an interesting character, Casterfo. I find him very interesting. He has this fantasy about how cool it was, how cool the war was, and you know, stuff like that, and she just can't handle that.
Okay, it says she's in her 40s.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I actually used the AI picture thing to come up with some pictures of her in her 40s. Let me see if we can find them. I should have posted it. Stupid. Somebody else talk for a second. Let me just get this.
So, okay, Sophia, while we're at it, I know you had some words. I'm pretty sure you had some words about Lady Carice.
Yeah, let's talk about her.
Sophia.
Yeah. The one with the music box?
Yes,
Mhm.
the one with the
Yeah.
music box.
Oh, yeah, there's nothing else to say. She's a dirtball.
Terrible.
I know, she believes
She
in the
wants to be-
nobility of everything, and then all of a
She's-
sudden,
She wants to be loyal. She wants to be royalty, and then they take away her royalty, and she's like, "Duh! Now I'm just me. What am I gonna do? Oh no!
Oh no.
Oh no!
Oh,
What am I
no.
gonna do?" Here's a couple of pictures
Oh, nice.
in her. Just went the wrong way. Here's another one. They couldn't get Carrie Fisher exactly right. They kept putting the buns on her head, and I kept saying, I just wanted to braid, you know, but that was kind of fun for me to like picture her, try and picture what she looked like in her middle years.
She's a dirtbag. That's all you got?
She's a dirtbag.
That's all you got. Sophia, you were like, you just wait. I'll talk about this book. I'll talk about this book. And like you specifically dropped her name without naming her. And now you don't got nothing to say.
Only that she's a dirtbag.
Plain and simple.
Do you think she should have gone to Leia first?
I mean, yeah, but politics, right?
Well, she was thrilled that she was going to be the new ruler of that planet, and she was going to go through all the drama and it reminded me her like investiture in that reminded me of way back in the beginning of the Leia book, where Leia's getting ready for her investiture as princess and committing to doing her committing to doing her tasks. But she's only interested in like being famous and being cool and being royal. You know, she's kind of shallow.
She really is.
And then she found out this big dark secret, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to use this to my own benefit."
Well, see, now what I did find interesting about that was that she actually did. It's like she had this thought, and it was that the royals, they're bound by this oath to not share anything that's in this like different secrets. And it says in there she believed it, but it would come down to her, or would it come down, or if it came down to that or the First Order, which would she choose? And I don't know, I felt like maybe that strength of the message coming through in that moment wasn't her. It was like the Force kind of laying it on her, like, this should be how you do this. You should play this game this way. And we see that because she didn't play the game that way, she lost it all. And whether or not that was the dark side of the Force putting that like in her head to like try to help her become part of this or not, it doesn't really matter, but it does feel like that message came through, and it wasn't like, I should believe this. It was that. And I sat there and I was like, oh, that's obvious. Like, even if I didn't know that this was gonna go the way it was gonna go, like, because, you know, writing, I would have thought in that moment, but she doesn't care about that. She never did. She just wanted the title. And so that it was just so odd to me that it came beaming through that that was a truth and she was supposed to adhere to it. And I was like, she doesn't care about that. She never did.
No.
So why would you put it in the book that it came beaming through, unless it was almost supposed to like call attention to the Force even spoke through this woman, but she didn't ignored it.
I don't know if the Force spoke through her. I think she's just a very shallow person. And she, you know, Princess Leia had to understand exactly how much Lady Carice knew, or else she would not be nearly as grateful. She would not realize that Lady Carice had the power to destroy her in an instant. She says, which I won't. Violating a royal oath is unthinkable. I mean, you know, Lady Carice, I love this line. Lady Carice nodded, impressed with her inner nobility. I just wanted to smack her, you know. I mean, she's just terrible.
Like, if you had inner nobility, you wouldn't have gone through the message at that point.
Right. And she would have closed that. She would have been, oh my God, this is a very personal message from Leia's father to her. And maybe I shouldn't be listening to this. You know? Terrible person. Yeah. There are good people in this book too, though. I like her crew. Let's talk about Leia's crew. Let's talk about Greer and Joff and Corey. Poor Corey.
Not Corey.
Corey, yeah, Core. But well, she called her Corey, but you know, she's Corey for the most of the book.
Yeah, but then she was Core. It's Core.
Yeah, and then and then Leia said, "I'll call you. That's fine. I'll call you Core." And she left anyway. She couldn't deal with it.
Because she was just the intern, effectively. She was the newest member to the team. She really didn't know how to take any of that.
Right.
Like Greer was the one with the disability, right?
Yeah, with the disease or whatever disease it was.
So Greer,
the pilot.
Greer knew Han and was like, Han wouldn't just marry anybody.
Yeah.
And like, so she got to know Leia after that, and Leia's taking care of her and really treated her well and made sure that she was safe and whatnot. So obviously that connection is very strong there. It's the new guy that is almost the wild card as to like I felt like he was newer than even Core. But Joff, yeah. So Joff is kind of sitting there, and he has admiration for Han, but from afar. He's just kind of like coming in with this when you see a famous person, what is it? Starstruck?
Starstruck.
Yeah, starstruck. He's coming in with a starstruck concept, and then you put it in, okay, well, wait, this person was with, there is the daughter of Vader, and it's just kind of like, you're sitting there like, now I know this thing about them, but I'm still sort of starstruck. And then you see how he kind of like, whatever, throws it off to the side. Like, okay, sure, whatever. But Core, who's like, feels betrayed because she's been in this group working for somebody, and now she's like, what if she really was trying to do something to hurt us, and maybe she really did know this and that, and it takes her a while to also kind of come around and realize, man, I overreacted.
Yeah.
And then, but you see Leia's just like, nah, I get it. I get it. I think get angry about it. I get it.
Yeah, Core is like the reflection back to Leia in the Leia book. She's the same age pretty much as Leia was in the Leia book. So Leia understands that.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of self-reflection to be looked at herself in all of these different characters.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Okay.
All except for Carice. Carice is the only one she can't really see herself in.
Or let's talk about Hadrassian, who's the one who did the bombing. And she was, she's the centrist senator, and I'm trying to find where she admits that she admits that she did the napkin bombing, which I think is I was like, napkin bombing.
Well, it's because it was written on the napkin. Run.
I know.
Oh, that's the other thing that I keep going back to, and I'm like, why would you tell her to run?
Nobody got killed. They just destroyed a building.
I mean, they didn't know. See, like, it would have made sense if that secret was known to the First Order, but we see with Lady Carice, it clearly wasn't. So if it was known to the First Order, you would want to, and you had like a worship almost of Darth Vader and Palpatine, you would want to save the daughter. But at this point, they don't even know that. So I'm like, why? Like, that was the only thing that came to mind was, did they do it because they knew who she was? Or was it something else? And I'm like, I still can't wrap my head around why they warned her.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That didn't make that much sense. Gabe, what do you think?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and still the fact, like, yeah, the fact that it was on a napkin and like yeah, you're right. It just doesn't make sense. That's the only thing. Like, I don't know. I think it may just be because of what I gather is I think it's just because of the respect that they have for Leia. And that's probably the only thing, just because she was very well liked in the Senate. But then still, even then, why only just her? Or just why there? Or is it just that you wanted to have like survivors? So it could have been on any napkin, and hers was just by chance.
Because she's the main character. So
yeah,
and we're seeing it from her. It's from her point of view. That part is from her point of view. I mean, they pop from head to head. She pops from people's heads, but she and then Leia gives the speech in the Senate and admits that this is all true, and that she was, it's always been known that I was adopted by Bail and Breha Organa, the Real House of Alderaan. I mean, they're her parent. They're responsible for who she is.
Yeah,
more than Darth Vader was. I mean, Darth Vader tortured her, so that was a horrible thing for her to find out from Luke.
Yeah.
Imagine.
That reminds me of another scene.
Go.
Where she just talks about, like, yeah, she's literally recounting that episode, that scene, and how she says, like, how could basically any trooper there see this torture happening to a kid? How could they just let it happen?
Right.
And I was like, oh my, like, wow. Because like normally I was like, how we'll say, like, oh, they were just following orders. But there's a point when you see it and you choose not to act.
Mhm.
That's just like, I don't know why, it just really hit me. And just saying like, this was like, you're allowing this disgusting behavior to happen. Yeah, I can see you don't, like, you're fearful for your own life. If you were to intervene, you die yourself.
Mhm.
But there's got to be a point, though. That's the thing. There's got to be a point where you do. Like, it
Right.
doesn't matter. Like, at what point do your morals step in?
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's what she was pointing out right there. At that point, they didn't.
Trying to find that
That
part.
makes just as complicit as Vader.
Right.
Oh yeah, when I got to that point, I got sick. I got sick.
Yeah. What was that? Where was that scene? I'm trying to find it.
I think it was in another conversation with Casterfo. Because it was
Okay.
basically on the whole thing on like the people following orders. Oh, but I don't remember where.
Here it is. Here. I found it.
Okay.
I think I found it.
Okay.
Let me start. And she says only he's talking to Ransom. Just found out that she's Vader's daughter, and he's Ransom been laying awake all night running through the various ways that their understanding of history might be altered through this one critical fact. And then he says, you must have thought I was a fool. The words tasted bitter in Ransom's mouth because I trusted you so quickly, because I told you the most personal and painful stories of my life, never guessing that they all revolved around your father. And she says, only my birth father, my real father, was Bail Organa of Alderaan. And then he says, what in his this is from his point of view, what could Organa have been thinking, taking in the offspring of someone so corrupt and monstrous? Ransom would wonder about that too, but he would never be able to fathom the answer. Well, he doesn't understand that. See, I'm sorry. I didn't catch that last thing because I was reading. And then she says, he says, you know how I hated Vader. You knew what he had done to me. How could you still keep your secret knowing that? Leia shook her head in disbelief. What Vader did to you, do you think you could ever even begin to compare what Vader did to me? He made me watch my planet die. He froze Han in carbonite and sold him the job at the Hut. He cut off my brother's hand and nearly took his life. And he tortured me, Ransom. He tortured me until I screamed and shook and thought I would just die from pain alone. Did you bother to ask yourself how it might feel to realize the person who done all that was your father? Can you imagine how terrible it is to realize you'll never know of your birth father, and all you'll know of your birth father is how much he enjoyed making you suffer? That's what I have to live with. I've always wondered why Vader didn't pick up on Leia being having possible force powers and possibly being a Jedi. How did he not know when he was intimately involved with torture?
Palpatine probably didn't turn his focus to her. He wanted the focus on Luke.
Mm.
So when
The boy.
Yeah, the boy, yeah. So he so it was only there that he's like, you should join us, because at this point Luke is actually being trained in the Force. So
Right.
now we know this person could be turned to us, and he feels strong in the Force. Leia's not training in that though.
No,
so
that's
it's not manifesting in a
yeah.
way that would be able to be evident. And so now they're locked in battle. So the only thing that they see of Leia is that the Force is kind of hiding her, so that they're, and it's very good because she's not getting trained. So it's not coming off like it is with Luke. And when he starts really feeling that Force in it, he's like, wait a minute, that's kind of familiar to me. And then that's when he realized, like, as he's working through it, then he probably is starting to realize, oh, this energy is intertwined with this other energy. And there's a second, you have a sister. Like,
Yeah.
sister is really working.
You have a sister.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, do my Darth Vader voice.
But you
Oh my
know,
God, it makes my glasses fog up when I do that.
the difference between like how she was tortured by her father and how this and that. And the thing that came to mind when she's over there talking about it, I'm sitting there like, you guys equally had hardship with this guy, but
Mhm.
you don't want to see just the one or the other doesn't want to see just how bad it was because you're so wrapped up in your own pain of what happened that
Mhm.
you can't really see just how much it hurt them too. I mean, she pours it out to him and he realizes
does.
it, but I'm not so sure she ever really comes to terms with how Vader hurt him.
No, I think you're right. I mean, Vader destroyed a lot of people, destroyed a lot of planets, killed a lot of people, and then he comes out and he's like all collecting all this Empire stuff, and she doesn't think that. I mean, that's what's the word I'm looking for? That's it's like a contradiction. It's a contradiction within himself because he's collecting all this stuff. He thinks it's all cool, but then Vader was the leader of the thing and the Empire, and he killed all his family and destroyed his planet. So how does he come up with thinking all this is cool?
Grappling with the fact that he didn't have power at the time. And that's really what he's coming to terms with. I didn't have power then. I do have it now. But if I had lived during that time and I had this power, I could have done things to change stuff, which is not true. And I
No,
think
it's not.
this is that point too, is that you can't. And he's young and he's naive on that. But
Mhm.
he wants, but that is how he's trying to reclaim his own personal failure to his parents.
Mhm. Here it is. When she's talking to Han, and she says, on Multimus, this is after, wait a second. All I'll ever be to them now is Darth Vader's daughter, she says. And this is before or after Tylan gets killed? I can't remember. I think it is. I mean, Caserfo comes out and stands up in the Senate and says, "Listen, she's all right. She's not her father's daughter."
Yeah.
He stood up for her. He was siding with Princess Leia. Lady Carice couldn't fathom why Ransom Casterfo was so hell-bent on committing political suicide, but here she was watching him do exactly that. Because he became friends with Leia before he knew all this stuff. And he's going back and forth in his head, reflecting on the woman that he knows that she is, and the woman that he admires is the daughter of his most hated enemy. And that would blow anybody's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially since he's so young, he's in his 20s. That's mind blowing to him. And you really can't blame him for being mad at Leia.
Yeah.
In that moment. All right, we've been going an hour. Do you want to continue, or should we make like everybody have something to say to close it out, and we'll close it out? Nobody says anything.
Like earlier, I had a question I wanted to pose, but
Go
I
ahead.
wanted to see if you had any other talking points, and now I don't remember what the question was.
Oh no! I mean, I have talking points, and I mean, I have to like write down the plot points as I go because
Yeah.
my memory's not that great. Let me see if I can find anything.
Oh, I remember the question.
Oh, good.
So it was, I want to know, you're sitting there grappling with this question. So for those that have not gotten there yet, because you might not have read the whole book and or even read the book at all, but you still came. We love you.
We appreciate that.
In the book, they actually, do you know exactly where they give the reveal in the book?
Yeah. And hang on. I have it someplace.
Oh, actually it wouldn't completely matter. So she hasn't told anybody. At this point, she hasn't told anybody. The only people that know about her being her daughter are Luke and Han. And they're not, and she even mentions, I don't even know if I've told Chewie.
Yeah. Chewie, right.
She's like, I don't even know if Chewie knows. But these are the only two people that know. And she's like, I don't know how they know. So in there, at some point can you read how somebody tried to say it was a fabrication?
Oh, where is it? Sinners to the NR plans. We banned the first order completely. That's the one I can't find. Anybody know where that is?
I had the book. I did the audio book.
I did the audiobook. See, I have to do paperback because I have to make notes. Yeah, know that I can share your father's Anakin Skywalker with us. All right, okay. She says she intended to hold. Well, it took only a few moments for Lady
23.
Carice to make her decision. Nobility was more important than rabble rousing. The
Oh,
royal
no,
seal
not
had to
that-
remain inviolate. Is
not that.
it? Not that part. Okay.
In the Senate, they're watching the video.
Right.
And somebody says something about how it could be a fabrication and Leia was gonna,
It's a lie and just walk off.
yeah. So
Yeah, it's chapter 23, page 282.
okay,
Oh,
yeah.
thank you.
Read from where the person comes up and says it's a fabrication.
Oh, okay. Was it Ransom pointed her and declared to the entire Galactic Senate, Senator Leia Organa is none other than the daughter of Darth Vader himself. And that's a new chapter. Yeah, that's a lie. Varishal of the Din, a filthy, outrageous lie. And one Senator Organa would rise to deny.
And
And she
yeah,
talks
okay,
about
so
the
that's
box.
especially where it is. And they talk about how it could be fabricated or okay, so basically they listen to Bail Organa
Mm-hmm.
actually reveal your father
Here it
is.
is. Yeah.
So right after that, start reading right after your father is Vader.
Well, that ends the chapter. So I'm gonna
Okay.
go to the next chapter. Oh, they're discussing it. They're discussing. We have no proof that this. Here it is. We have no proof that this object is authentic. No evidence at all. Given that Bail Organa was a well-known public figure, any number of recording devices or droids could have captured and synthesized his voice to say anything the programmer wished. Surely a mere music box cannot be allowed to slander one of the most illustrious members of the Galactic Senate. Does it, right?
Yep, that's it. And then go on to talk about how she grapples with this question.
Mm-hmm. She could lie. She could get to her feet, angrily denounce the music box as a forgery, and walk out of the Senate with her head held high. No biological samples labeled marked either Anakin Skywalker or Lord Vader had ever turned up in the Imperial registries. No doubt Palpatine had made sure, blah, blah, blah. So nobody would ever be able to prove beyond any doubt that Leia was Vader's daughter.
Okay.
So she thinks about just saying it's a lie, but she can't do that.
So now I want to know for each of you. I want to know, and I'm going to go to all of you. How would you have responded to this? How would you have done? How would you have played the game?
I'm not a game player.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and field it. Start
Okay.
this one. Yeah. Because of what's said next on how the doubt would still linger, that would be even worse than saying it's a lie. So basically I have to just confront it and say, yep, this happened. Now here is why it happened, or here is a result. Like, so just because I am related to this person does not mean I am this person. And then I can point out from different senator about the different senators, like, you did this, but your parents did this. So like just kind of going back and forth and say, like, I am not the only one who is different from my family. And now I am called to a service of something higher, of like representing this group of people. So now I am not even here for myself, I am here for these other people. So just by you attacking me, you are now attacking all these other people as well.
Mm-hmm. This is when Joff and Greer are talking about it right after it's revealed. and they're doubting their loyalty a little bit. It feels weird. Joff had heard the nightmare stories of Vader's evil deeds his whole life. Yeah, he'd known Darth Vader really existed. He wasn't stupid. But to Joff, Vader had seemed almost like some folktale creature from stories told to frighten little children so they wouldn't run away from home. He could hardly wrap his mind around the idea of Vader as a man like any other who must have once fallen in love and fathered twin children. Then again, the story could be far darker. Do you think, here's a really good question. Do you think Darth Vader assaulted Queen Amidala? And then Greer says, I thought of that last night, but no, I've helped the senator research Queen Amidala, so I plugged in some of the data last night. The queen died before the first records of Vader ever appeared. Like, how long before? Like a weeks or something before that. So a young man named Anakin Skywalker had become a Jedi Knight, fought courageously in the Clone Wars, and won the love of a senator queen, and it's still chosen to become a monster. Joff shuddered. So they're discussing it in a really like intelligent way. You know, they're making, I think they make really good points. I think her staff is really smart and they make really good points.
So
and
what about you, Susan? Faced with that decision, would you, how would you approach it? Would you tell the Senate that you were really...
Me? I'd lie, but that's just me. I would totally lie, but Leia's not going to do that. Leia's not. She's not. She's
yeah, but I mean, we're not talking Leia. We're talking about Susan or
okay. Yeah. How about you? I would lie. I probably would lie.
I would tell the truth, because to not do that would be to call my father a liar.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
I'm gonna call my father a liar, or like my dad. I'll say my dad, because dad is a more clear term.
Yeah, Belle was her
Call
dad.
my dad a liar, and
Yeah.
especially since he took such painstaking opportunity to not go through with that. Yes, that is the question.
Yes. Yeah. You kind of have to. I mean, yeah, you kind of have to. I mean, I don't know what I would do if I was in Leia's position. I mean, she has a different. I'm not her. We have different value systems, and she knew that some people were going to stick up for her. You know, I mean, she's got Han stick up for her, and he comes and rescues her in the end, and it's all very dramatic and everything, which I knew, kind of figured it was going to happen. But how about you, Gabe?
Oh no, I already answered that question. Just saying that I tell the truth. Yeah.
You tell the truth.
Sophia?
I'd be too scared to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair.
Because when she wants to continue her good work, you know, and if she's Darth Vader's daughter, she can't continue that good work. So maybe she's lying for the benefit of the galaxy.
I think that lie would be too much to keep, and especially since she does find a way at the end of it to actually be more useful than she could have been.
Mm-hmm.
So Sophia, what about you? Would you admit that you were Palpatine's child? I mean, not Palpatine, Vader's child.
Vader's child.
Yeah, I mean, whatever's done in the dark will always come to the light eventually. I always believe. So, and again, I think that it was horrible that, she didn't tell her own son. That always bothered me. That really always bothered me. And yeah, again, I'm biased towards, Ben. So I feel like maybe a lot of the things he went through, and him and his turn and his, I don't know, questioning himself, and I don't know, letting dark people get into his head would not have happened had she told the truth. And that's what I feel about it, and that's how I always look at it. Like
from
there, go ahead.
I think that she should have put it off for like a day or 2 days until she could talk to her son, because he deserves to hear that from her. And they were upset with her because you didn't even tell your son. And it's like, no, she didn't want to, like, she wasn't ready. She had doubts. She was embarrassed.
And again, like, I think that she should have, and this is, again, I got to take Ben's side of things and what he said. She and Han, never had time for him, and as a child, and what do you expect? Your parents are running all over the galaxy trying to, save all these planets and put out all these fires, but they're not putting out the fire that's right there, that they started, that their own child had, and he that had a lot of resentment, and he felt like, they lied to him. And yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have taken much to at least gone with Ben to Luke's school and been like, hey, let's both talk to you. Just imagine how things would have been if he'd been with Luke and talked to Ben.
There was definitely a place for a family conversation, a family sit down.
Yeah, it
never happened.
Yeah, and I don't know. She just kept putting it off, and I don't know. I always blame Leia for that. I always blame Leia for that.
Well, they should. I mean, when it comes to family secrets are sometimes like, sometimes they're okay and sometimes they're dark.
And like we said, what dark always comes to the light, though. So you might as well just face it early than face it later.
Yeah.
Imagine what the other side of things would have been had he already known, and then it came out to the galaxy, and then he'd have been like, okay, well, I already know that, but I'm here with my friends and I'm here with Luke. All right, let's keep on training because this is just another day for me now.
Yeah.
I feel for Mom, but it's just another day. And that could have kept him possibly from turning to the dark side. Those things that we do have ripple effects to people around us.
His parents kept a very big secret from him for,
so
he was however old he is in this book. I guess he's in his teens, maybe.
Yeah. So, and then what did he end up doing? Keeping a secret himself. So he didn't even trust anybody to talk to about the feelings he had being approached by the dark side. So that could have been avoided.
Yeah. And they took advantage of him being angry at his parents to draw him into the dark side.
Exactly. Yeah. So I side with Ben. Ben did nothing wrong.
I feel bad for Ben. I mean, his dad's off doing, racing. Mom's in the Senate. It's like they never talk to each other. They don't communicate with each other. He doesn't know all this stuff about his past. The only person he really trusts is Luke, and then he doesn't trust Luke anymore. And Luke, I never understood what happened between this and the movie and the third movies. Like what? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Like, you mean with Ben and Luke, or?
Yeah, because they don't really say what he's doing. He's like teaching in school. He's doing research, whatever he's doing into the Jedi Order, and then, I don't read a lot of the EU books, so I don't know.
In the canon, that gets fleshed out in the comic books.
Okay.
You get to see Ben, at Luke's school, and which kind of hints at he's like, why am I so different from the other children? Like, why you explain these things to me? And then Luke is not explaining it to him because they're keeping secret still. So again, like I said, that could have been avoided. And then even then, he took Ben, and there was other students there, but even to them, he felt like he was an outsider, and he couldn't explain why, and he didn't know why. But had they had that talk with him, they'd been like, okay, you know what? Thank you guys for telling me. I'm having these feelings, and I don't know what it is. But no one talked to him. And there was at one point him and Luke, they ran into at like this Jedi temple, they ran into the Knights of Ren. And
The Knights of Ren.
yeah, one of the Knights of Ren looked at Ben and said, we intrigue you, don't we? It's something about us, and I can feel it in you. And he was like, go ahead and just admit it. Why don't you start telling the truth to everybody, what you're feeling? And Luke was like, you don't know what you're talking about. He's just a kid. And he was like, all right, he'll show you. He'll let you know eventually. And instead of, again, just trying to talk to him about his dark or those things that he was holding in, they just kept like, all right, let's just brush it under the rug. It's no big deal.
Okay. Would you mind posting the what issues the comic books are in the chat? So I would love to read those, but I don't have desire to go through like 150 Star Wars comics, but if you could post it, that'd be great.
Yeah, there's this guy on YouTube who has these channels, and literally what he does is he takes the comic books, every single Star Wars comic books that ever comes out, and he puts them into basically almost like a movie. So you're reading the comic book, but you're watching the thing happen as a video. And so it makes it really easy to keep things. That's what I do. I don't buy comic books. I'm too cheap. Jedi are cheap.
I got Marvel Unlimited for my computer, so I get all my books my comic books every week, every comic books all the time. Gabe knows.
So Sarah, I want to hear your answer to this question. Would you admit that you were Vader's daughter to the entire galaxy?
Probably not.
Probably not.
No. It would be one of those don't ask, don't tell. And then I wouldn't outwardly lie, but I wouldn't outwardly offer that information either. Because prosecution is a thing. And people, I don't care how much they try to say that they don't judge, they judge. And, where I feel like Jedi would not be outwardly judging, they would. And that's if they allow you to survive that. Like, I feel like that if I was a Jedi and I was trying to go through the council, and they would know, right? I mean, they would know if I had some kind of dark side.
I mean, they didn't figure out that Anakin was like born from a dark...
I don't believe that. I believe that they did know. They just didn't fully understand what was going on at that time. I fully believe that Yoda knew. I really do. I think that he knew it, but he couldn't put his finger on it. And what's his face? Too many mother effing snakes on this mother effing plane. What's his name? Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson.
I love that movie. He definitely knew. Like, he knew. And he was killed as a result. And that guy went mass dark side within the last 30 seconds of his life. Because that fear was so great. I'm not convinced. I think Yoda knew, but he knew that it was part of a greater plan. And I feel like that he couldn't fully understand why he was getting this feeling. He couldn't really intervene because he knew that it had to happen for a reason. But yeah, getting back to it, would I outwardly offer that information? No, that's nobody's business. Well, but I feel like
you've already been presented with Bail Organa saying it.
What?
Yeah.
Okay,
remember.
Okay, yeah, there was an audio recording of Bail Organa, her father, admitting that she was her father. That Vader,
very apologetically.
and they
Very
put it
apologetic.
out on the Senate floor for the entire galaxy to see. And then
Oh.
somebody says, is that she's going to deny it. She's going to deny it. So like, would you?
Oh no, I wouldn't outwardly lie about it.
Yeah. Okay.
I just wouldn't
find-
offer that information freely because, you know, go ahead.
I found the recording, the where they say what Bail Organa said. My beloved daughter, just for people who didn't read the book, my beloved daughter, he said, the Supreme Governor of Biren, whom I trust completely, said that he would keep this here for you when you someday inherit this title. My hope is that this recording contains no new information that I have had the chance to explain everything to you myself. Lady Carice realized the spirit can only be Bail Organa. Organa continued, however, I make this recording during a time of increasing danger for our rebellion. I know too well that I may not survive the war that is surely to come. By hiding this information here on a world of no significance to the Empire, I hope to keep it out of the wrong hands and deliver it into yours. For this is knowledge that you and only you have the right to possess. So that's Bail. And you never expressed much interest in knowing about your birth parents. So many times you told your mother and me we're the only father and mother you've ever needed. That's me. And needed, and never doubt how much that means to us both. But Leia, the story of your origin is one you must know. You were hidden with us for your own safety and for that of your brother. Yes, you have a twin brother, though you must not seek him, and the war has ended until the war has ended and both Palpatine and Lord Vader have been defeated. Princess Leia's brother was the Jedi Luke Skywalker. Why would Bail Organa have forbidden his daughter to seek Skywalker out? And what was this mysterious origin story? And Organa says, the other one who knew was Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan Kenobi took.
Yeah, but he's dead by this point, so.
This is the only time in the book that they mention Obi-Wan. He says, Obi-Wan Kenobi took your brother for safekeeping and I took you. We hid you both from each other and from your father, who could not know that any child of his had been born alive. You see, Leia, I always told you the truth about your mother and how she died, but I never told you that she was Padme Amidala, former queen and senator of the planet Naboo. Nor could I share that your father was Anakin Skywalker, one of the last Jedi Knights and a great hero of the Clone Wars. But now I must tell you the worst, and you must be strong. I must tell you what happened, what became of Anakin Skywalker. And then he tells her. Darth Vader was the prince of, and then Carice realizes that your father has become Darth Vader. So, and then Carice is like, holy shit, I just found out something really important.
Yeah.
Lady Carice realized she had been given the one thing that can ensure victory for the centrist. The untouchable, impeachable heroine, Leia Organa, could be toppled off her pedestal forever immediately by playing this recording in public. And then they all freaked out. Then they all completely freaked out when they heard it, and people turned against her. And they thought she was lying the whole time. They thought she knew. Maybe. Did they think she knew?
A lot of them thought that it was a lie. It was fabricated just to get one off on her.
Yeah.
Fake
news.
Carice
Sneaky.
figured that she knew because she sat there and thought about it. She's like, nah, she knows. She knows.
Yeah. She was thrilled. Oh, she was thrilled to find this information out. She was so happy.
She's gonna try to use it as blackmail, and that didn't work.
It didn't work. No, it didn't work. It didn't work. All right, hour and a half. I think an hour and a half is about
Well, that's a good time.
a good time. So last thoughts, Allie.
It was a good book, but I will say I preferred the first book.
I did too. Gabe.
Yeah, same venue. That yeah. I liked the first book better, but what I did like about this book is like, yeah, just showing how strange friendships are.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Because
you would
you
miss
can
that.
be allied with somebody totally in opposition, but you can still work for the same objective, and in that you can still allow yourself to be vulnerable and like reveal things about yourself and see that they are human as well. And so I just like seeing that going back and forth.
Congress
was
could
like,
learn
oh.
something from these guys.
Yeah.
We should go. We should go to everybody in Congress and hand them a copy of the book.
This book here, read this, read this.
Yes.
Seriously, read this book. You'll understand.
Your gift.
Yeah.
It's weird, like reading this book and then also watching The Boys at the same time. It's like it's doing my head in.
Mhm.
The whole thing is doing my head in.
Do you think Congress reads?
Congress reading.
Probably not.
No,
Probably
probably
not.
not. Some of them do. Some of them do. I don't know if the Republicans really read, but I don't want to get into real world politics. That's
Yeah,
not where we
Well,
are.
I mean, look. As much as they have
More than the
to
presidents.
read, yeah. As much as they would have to read, I feel like it's like just give me the TLDR because people write too
Yeah.
much.
You know,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Whether you read it is one thing, it's whether you comprehend what you are
Mhm.
reading.
Yes.
There you
Yes.
go.
Yes.
Mhm.
Still, I want to hand them all a book. Sorry.
No, it's okay. That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Give them all this book and make them read it. You know. Next time in September, wait, the politicians and all they can comprehend is money. Yeah. Well, money and power.
Yeah.
Money and power. And like Carice wanted to be wait. Conversation. Yes, we should have a conversation with boys sometimes. Absolutely. I asked Gabe, I asked Tom DeFalco if he was watching The Boys, and he's not watching The Boys. And I'm like, you have to watch the show. I'm like,
You've got
"You're
to.
the- you are the editor in chief of Marvel Comics. You need to watch this show and see how absurd it is. Anyway, next time, 2 months from now, September 3rd, I think.
Oh, hold
We're
on.
gonna-
You only got me and Gabe
Oh, Gabe, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Everybody else.
and Riley.
This is the first book club I've ever led, and this is only my second time, so I'll get better at it.
Yeah.
Sophia, you got words?
No words.
No words.
Sophia, you're lagging.
Show a few words.
I'm beat. I'm sorry. Like,
That's okay. That's all right. I have a cold, so
No excuse.
I
Riley,
told
you got anything for what you've read up to this point, or anything we've heard today?
Was I called on?
Yes, you were. I
Yes,
did
you were.
actually call on you this time.
Okay. Sorry, I literally just started cooking. Comment on what I read and heard today. Seems like a pretty good book. I feel like I can relate to Leia a lot in it, and I actually see a lot of similarities between her and my mom. The only real difference between all three of us within it is Leia is like way more carefree than the rest than my mom and I.
Mhm.
As for what we discussed, seems pretty interesting. That's all I can really say.
So keep reading.
Keep reading.
Yeah.
Sarah, you
Sarah?
got any comments based on what's up here?
No. I will
You are deaf.
really
Oh. Sophia is deaf right now, so
I will really take an effort to actually read next time.
okay. Well, next time we're gonna read Ahsoka. So that'll be fun. We're gonna continue with the ladies because it's my damn book group.
Sarah,
So
you
we're-
don't read that book, and I'm going to come hit you upside the head.
Say
you mean?
what?
What?
If you don't read this book on Ahsoka, I'm going to come hit you upside the head.
Well, considering
Yeah,
that I was
Ahsoka?
sniped for
Gonna read
or
that.
snipe. I was
Yeah.
sniped for so many years. I should freaking know the history of it.
Well, you have 2
character.
months, so it's entirely possible to get it from the to get this book from the library. It's available at the Chicago Public Library. Go to Libby if you know how to use Libby from your public library and get it out. It's available on Kindle. It's available as paperback. You can get a paperback for like $3 or $4. It's not
I got
inexpensive.
this book from Libby.
There you go. There you go. Look, yeah, libraries are good. Libraries are good. So
I like libraries, except that I
We need
can't
more
keep them.
libraries.
I love libraries. I used to be a library helper. I used to help kids do their homework after school.
I
for
would love to
a
do
lot of
that
years.
for a living.
They,
I
you know,
would love to do that, but I don't know how to apply for it.
I
you
will
know,
quit my job to work in a library.
I
No
would too.
joke.
I have 2 friends who are librarians, so they love it. I just the mayor established this program, the homework helpers, and people volunteered and came in, and I mean, it was like no investment for the city at all. Like they made aprons and like name tags. It didn't cost them anything. And then after a while, after about 5 years, they just canceled the whole program.
Hmm.
And I never knew why, really.
Okay, so what day is it?
The next one?
Yes.
It's the first Tuesday in wait, I think it's the 3rd of September. Wait, where's my date thing? Here it is. Hang on. July, August. Yeah, it's September 3rd.
Okay, September 3rd. We
Yep.
will see you all there on September 3rd.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate you. It's good I like a small group. A small group is good. My mom's book group has like 20 people in it, so they're like all over the place. But
I want to do a book study. So I need some pointers.
okay.
Boom. But
Okay.
anyway, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
You should talk to my mom. She really knows. My mom was a big help in helping me get